Good afternoon, everybody. If everybody will grab your seat, we're going to start in 30 seconds. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the June 11th, 2026 MARTA work session meeting. It is 12:02 p.m. May I have a motion to approve the May 14th, 2026 work session minutes? I see we have a motion. Can we have a second? And if there's no discussion, let's vote.
Madam Chair, I'm just letting you know mine is looping.
It's frozen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a couple of people's are mine's frozen up also. Can you see enough of the? But I'm seeing, does it have, Beth's is, it's at the end, hers. But can I see her? It shows you are a yes on my side, so we're good. Okay. All right, the minutes have passed. Before I pass it on to our interim GM CEO, Mr. Hunt, I want to congratulate Mr. Loke, who got married recently. So I hope it was beautiful and wonderful, and best wishes and congratulations to you. Mr. Hunt, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few remarks today for the board and the public. First, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Pride Month to everyone and acknowledge the hardworking members of our workforce who identify with the LGBTQIA+ communities. I think it is important to maintain an inclusive, supportive environment for all of our employees, and I hope our workforce feels seen and supported here at MARTA. Next, I'd like to ask Chief Creer to provide the board with a brief report on how the police department is meeting the moment regarding safety and security of our system during World Cup. I acknowledge that the recent incidents have generated understandable public concern about our World Cup readiness, and I hope that Chief's report and later his security update in executive session will help demonstrate that MARTA is prepared. Chief Creer.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody. It's here. Right, World Cup is here today. Our first Fan Fest event is going to be on top of our Decatur station, where we welcome Big Boys concert and the first watch party of the World Cup events. So we're looking forward to assisting Decatur. As you know, and as we've talked about, really since September of 2025 is when we started planning for this event. We've been working very diligently with our state, local, federal partners. And that's culminated into a fantastic plan that we feel is going to be safe for everybody to come and enjoy this event. Our independent police department started working 6-day work weeks with one off day, 10-hour shifts this past Sunday, and they will continue to work that through July 19th's closing ceremonies. Once we get to match days, those hours will go from 10 hours to 12 hours. So we're going to keep a close eye on the women and men that are out there to make sure they're safe, they're rested as much as they can be, hydrated. It's already 90 degrees today, so we're going to see our normal June here roll in pretty quickly. I just wanted to touch a little bit about the security footprint itself. So what we planned for over these last several months was our local jurisdictions that we operate in are going to assist us with those outlying stations. So to give you an example, Brookhaven, Chamblee, Doraville, DeKalb County, Doraville, Avondale, East Point, College Park, the AU Center, Fulton County Marshals, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, the Atlanta Public School System, Clayton County Police, and the Rockdale County Sheriff's Department are all helping MARTA through the World Cup events on match days. What they'll do is they'll be assigned to the stations that are in their jurisdiction, and that will free up more of our police officers to make sure that we're on the trains and in the stations in the center of the city that are going to be impacted mostly by most of the traffic. Again, state, local, federal partners, the FBI, TSA, GSP, the GBI, all are involved in our planning processes for the last year, and they're going to be on top of this with us in our Joint Operations Center over the Atlanta Police Department, and of course internally with our Emergency Operations Center here at MARTA. To top this, Denver has graciously sent us 20 of their fantastic transit police officers, and they're going to be rolling in tomorrow in waves of 5 to assist us on the system. Unfortunately, other transit agencies our size had World Cup events, so they couldn't help us as much as we wanted them to. And WMATA in D.C. has a 250th anniversary coming up, so they had to prepare for that. To assist us with EMS, we're going to have contracted EMS support staff on all our platforms on the 5 targeted stations downtown. So that's 5 Points, SEC District, Vine City, Peachtree Center, and Garnett. And those contracted EMS support staff will be there on match days. Our real-time crime center, as you know, we've been working hard on that since last year. We've got new technology that's coming on board now that's really going to amp our ability to target those individuals that are consistently breaking our Right of Respect program and the law. And that training is going on as we speak today. And I'm fully excited and looking forward to that technology kicking in. The RTCC will operate 24 hours a day and 7 days a week while we're doing this operation. Our EOC is fully operational. Fan days, FanFest days, it's going to be over at the Candler Park facility, and it's going to be a stage 2 smaller contingency of EOC operators. And then on match days, we'll have a full stage 1 activation of the EOC over at the Chamblee station in our IOC. Along with those 2 locations, our mobile command vehicle, you guys have seen that, I'm sure, that will be operational every day. So we're just going to move that around depending on the need, and that can also act as an emergency operations center as well. We'll have representation from MARTA PD at the APD JOCS Joint Operations Center. We'll have a representation at the World Congress Center, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and of course communications with the JIC, the Joint Information Center, and GDOT's transportation facility at the Atlanta City Hall. Well, in the middle of all this, we've got July 4th coming, right? So July 3rd, there'll be a huge fireworks display at Lenox Mall. So MARTA Police will be operating in those 2 stations that directly impact Lenox Mall and the fireworks on July 3rd. Unfortunately, there's no sanctioned Fan Fest or FIFA events between July 2nd and July 6th. So that gives us a chance to really concentrate on the Peachtree Road Race and maybe even give our officers a little bit of rest in between the next stage of events. As we know, we trained up 60 MARTA police officers to work civil unrest, and you guys graciously funded that training and that equipment. They are fully prepared and ready to go, and they will be assisting Atlanta or anybody else that needs it, and vice versa. They'll come and assist us if we need it. So the cadence of the calls, like this morning we started with the Atlanta Police Department and their Emergency Operations Center. We have an 8 o'clock call every morning throughout FIFA. Then we have an internal call that Ms. Allen handles right after that every day. And then at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to have a call with my command staff at MARTA PD and make sure that anything that needs to be reported up or we need to change or reflect, we'll have that ability every day. I just want to touch a little bit, when you're out there, please pat the officers on the back. They're working long hours. They're working under extreme stress right now. We've had some significant events lately that I think we're going to talk about later, but I wanted to share that they are really out there sweating, literally and figuratively, and really trying their best. You listen to the radio, and there's so much chatter on the radio. They're being very proactive and doing their best to make sure we have a safe system. So I appreciate them. I appreciate the work that they do. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. I think we're going to have questions at the end of the remarks, so just don't go far.
Okay.
And I'm going to go through the balance of my remarks. Yep. That's okay, Chair. So in addition to the measures enacted by Chief around World Cup, we're instituting the following longer range plans, and I'm going to cover those in very broad strokes here. And depending on the item, the board will be briefed in detail as needed. But one, added officers. As Chief outlined, we're bringing additional law enforcement support during the World Cup. We will be setting up a program to add additional off-duty officers post-World Cup while we continue to recruit and hire permanent MARTA law enforcement officers. I want to set expectations for the public, just like it is unreasonable and unaffordable to have an officer on every corner and patrolling every street 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the cities and counties of the state that we live, work, and play in. It is just as unreasonable and unaffordable to expect 24/7 law enforcement officer presence by MARTA on the approximately 580 vehicles we deploy daily in all 38 rail stations, in all of our bus intermodals, all around all of our administrative facilities, bus garages, and rail yards on a daily basis. We have stepped up our MPD recruiting and hiring efforts and have been doing so for over the last 12 months. They've yielded some really great results. We will continue to make this a priority, and we have to be honest with ourselves and understand that MARTA is not a place to house the unhoused, to treat those with mental challenges, or help individuals with chemical dependency issues. We are doing our part, though, through empathetic enforcement and working with our partners in the region, like Atlanta Hope and many others. However, we're going to enforce the law and our Ride with Respect program to the absolute best of our ability going forward. The Train Patrol Initiative is another item we're launching. As I previously shared with the board and the public, we are going to launch a train patrol unit with our new trains. We are advancing that initiative and have already begun to stand up that unit. The new trains will make it easier for a single officer to patrol an entire train car because it's open gangway, or you can walk from one end of the car to the other, as opposed to our current cars now, which require you to pass between the cars while they're in motion. And we're getting this done now under Chief's leadership. Our next program is Pay Your Fair Share program. As part of the Better Breeze and Rapid A-Line projects, we have handheld fare inspection devices to validate fare payment. We've always planned on deploying those devices as part of our Rapid A-Line because it has off-board payment, and for our bus systems generally. In the coming months, we will be messaging the Pay Your Fair Share program to the public and with the board, where MARTA will randomly, on a per-vehicle basis, be checking to ensure that all travelers on that particular vehicle have paid their fair share to ride. The board will be briefed in greater detail about the program, and after which we will broadly message the same to the public before enacting the program to allow folks time to let the program set in and understand what's going to be expected of them. It is important to note that off-vehicle payment, fare payment that is, and onboard fare validation is not new in the transit industry, although it is newer in the Atlanta regional area. I'd like to shift now to the next item on my remarks, which is the USDOT/AFTA audit letter. As you all know, last week we received a letter from the FTA indicating the administration is initiating an audit of the implementation of our agency safety plan following the senseless murder of Ms. Margaret Swan. To the family, the thoughts and prayers of our entire MARTA family are with your family, and no words can comfort you in a time like this. But I hope you find some solace in knowing the assailant was immediately captured and that the MARTA family stands with you. The letter we received from the FTA is similar to what other transit agencies across the country have received. Last October, when we learned that FTA and the USDOT were putting special emphasis on the safety of our transit workers and the public, we shared MARTA's crime prevention efforts with the DOT Secretary Duffy, detailing our safety investments, initiatives, and steps for improvement without being requested. Because MARTA shares the federal administration's commitment as well as the deep commitment of the state and local partners here locally to safety of our employees and patrons, we have initiated these step-up measures that I detailed earlier in my remarks. Additionally, it's important to note that FTA maintains federal regulatory oversight over MARTA, and they can audit us at any time on any number of areas. So this is not something new or surprising to MARTA or the MARTA family. What is important to note is that MARTA welcomes the opportunity to share the hard work the MARTA team puts in every day, as well as the significant investments in personnel, technology, and operational measures that the MARTA board has authorized and MARTA family has put in place and that we will be advancing the same to support the safety and the security of our system going forward. MARTA is not perfect, but we will continue to strive to go from good to great and will remain committed to the continuous evaluation and strengthening of our safety programs, procedures, and resources to provide a safe, secure, and reliable transit experience for the communities that we serve every day. With that, I want to pivot to the next item, which is an update on the reduced fare card distribution program and update. We continue to process applications for reduced fare cards, and that is going very well. As you all saw, as you entered the building today, those numbers have reduced dramatically. I want to give kudos again to Donna DeJesus and her entire team who pivoted quickly to bring almost immediate improvement and efficiency to processing patrons through the process of getting their new reduced fare cards, renew cards, and everything in between. We are processing an average of approximately 220 cards or reduced fare customers per day, and we will keep the board updated on this effort until completion. While we are on fares, a quick point on our fare gates. Out of the 93 fare gate entrances in the system, 58 or roughly 58% of them will be completed by June 14th. 25 of the 38 rail stations, or 66% of those stations, will have at least one entrance fully completed. And 15 of 38, or 40% of the stations, will be fully completed by that date. And please note, we are targeting September for the completion of all of our fare gates around this project. I will highlight this a little bit more in my comments here later. Some questions remain about how we collect fares during this time, and I will explain. MARTA has always been a tap to enter and a tap to exit system. If a patron enters a station where the fare gates happen to be open because of construction, they will need to tap to exit the system at their destination. The fare will be collected at that time. We're able to collect fare either on entrance or on a patron's exit. Installation of the fare gates will continue through the World Cup. However, we will pause construction on match days to minimize patron disruption and to focus on delivering an outstanding customer experience on those days. We are targeting completion of all fare gate work in September of 2026, as I highlighted a moment ago, with the remaining rolling stock thereafter. As a reminder, more for the public, a little bit less for the board, we are changing over all of our facilities and equipment, as well as the equipment of our transit partners in the region that utilize our Breeze fare payment system. I'm going to shift now to our monthly significant initiatives, and are just hitting two of them because we've launched several. On the CQ 400 rail cars, we are awaiting final sign-off on our paperwork to send it over to GDOT for review. It has been demonstrated that the new trains work. However, we must submit detailed reports concerning the same. We have submitted some, but not all of the reports, and until all of the reports are submitted and have been approved by GDOT, we will not put the trains into revenue service. MARTA and Stadler will complete that process in the next several weeks, and then GDOT will be reviewing everything. Every morning, we have an 8:30 meeting with the leadership of MARTA and the leadership of Stadler to detail exactly where we are on the reports, what is to be completed that day, and what will be completed in the coming days until it is fully complete. And we have every indication that once we do and submit those reports from GDOT, that they're going to do all they can to expedite the review, and we thank them greatly for their assistance. With respect to our next-gen bus network, we received notes and comments from several community groups as well as other stakeholders, including our partners with the ATU, and we have engaged with several groups already. These talks have been productive. I personally have gone out into several different communities, meeting individual riders and patrons and community groups to gather comments and take their feedback on the network. There are two markups, or chances in which we change the system. Because we have a represented workforce and changing any route is more than a one-day affair, there are markups. During these periods, in August, we will be anticipating making some system tweaks identified by our operators for systematic immediate improvements. In the fall, the bus network markup that goes into effect in December, we anticipate another round of tweaks where we've gathered feedback and completed community meetings identified by our community partners. And then FIFA. welcome. Today is World Cup Day. It is the start of the World Cup. We are extremely excited. It is here. The board should have received your World Cup pin, your World Cup shirt, that each MARTA employee and board member will receive. And if you're a transit ambassador, you should have received your second shirt as well. We have had a tremendous show of support from our workforce, our board, our vendors, the community in terms of signing up for transit ambassadorships. Thank you so much for your dedication and your support of MARTA, and more importantly, to the entire metropolitan Atlanta region. I want to touch on our partners, our friends, and a portion of our MARTA family represented by ATU Local 732. 732 is hosting a day of action today. We respect all of our employees' right to make their voices heard and protest fully. MARTA has a long demonstrated history of working collaboratively with our ATU Local 732 to reach agreements that reflect the dedication of our frontline workforce. In 2023, MARTA and the union reached a comprehensive 3-year collective bargaining agreement that included 14.3% to 16.4% wage increase over a 3-year period, dependent on job classification, paid parental leave, increased educational reimbursements, expanded longevity and attendance bonuses, and among the lowest health care of any public employer in the metropolitan Atlanta region, including coverage of 83% of employee premiums. And we are extremely proud of that agreement and our partnership with ATU. MARTA remains fully committed to bargaining in good faith to reach a contract that is fair to the employees and enables MARTA to continue its mission of providing safe, clean, and reliable service to the people of the metropolitan Atlanta region every day while striving to become the nation's #1 agency for customer experience. With that, Madam Chair, I'd like to have a point of privilege and allow Deputy General Manager Allen to make one announcement to our employees regarding our MVP voting and program.
Yes, please do. Good morning, Chair Ide and other members of the board and MARTA staff. Over the past few months, we've again successfully launched a number of initiatives. We refer to them as our Big Six. We allowed, over the last month, employees to nominate peers who have done outstanding work and who stood out amongst their peers in helping to enable us to launch these projects. And we are happy to share that I think there will be 12 employees who will receive a token of appreciation. We will announce those individuals tomorrow morning and share why and how they exhibited are deserving of this reward or acknowledgement.
Madam Chair, that wraps up my report. Thank you.
All right. My guess is that there are people who have questions about your report. Is this the time to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so hit your button if you have questions. I have a few questions and just follow up. First, I second Mr. Hunt on sending our condolences to the families of Ms. Swan and Mr. Easterling. It's heartbreaking to MARTA when we have violence on our system. I will say, as Mr. Hunt mentioned, MARTA has been working on its security plan for FIFA and just in general, and has been very collaborative about that. I mean, the state has been aware of our security plans. The federal agencies have been aware of our security plans. Several of us were up there, was it in January or February, visiting all of our Congress members and going to the FTA as well. One of our asks is additional funding for it always. That was our priority. So to anybody listening who wants to know how you can help in the state and federal government, MARTA doesn't get a whole lot of money for anything but for safety. And so that was our ask when we were up there. But we, I don't want to get myself in trouble here saying anything, but because I know that there are investigations, but MARTA, we can always do better, but this has been something we have been working on, knowing that the world is coming and knowing that we had many system changes coming, that MARTA is a safe and secure system. These were two terrible things that happened, and you know, we're looking at everything of how we can make it more safe and more secure. I have been asked one thing by several friends of, can we keep weapons off of the MARTA system? And I know that there are systems out there in other parts of the country who have metal detectors or are piloting metal detectors or other things. And my understanding is that with our gun laws in Georgia, that would make it very complicated to do that here. Is that correct?
I see Chief walking up before he gets to the microphone. Georgia is most certainly a right to carry state. I'm not going to drift into concealed versus not concealed. I'll let Chief respond to that. But at present, the law does not prohibit people from bringing guns onto public transit, although there are many other areas in public and in transportation that guns are prohibited here in the state. Chief?
That's a great question. I actually got beat up pretty good in emails about my stance about this. I feel public transportation should be, rail and bus should be the same as TSA at the airport. I think if we're going to have hundreds of people on mass transit, we should not allow open carry like we have in the state of Georgia. Yeah. Open carry means no license, no concealed carry permit. You're over 18 years old, you can pick up a gun and carry it as long as you're not a convicted felon. And you can carry that anywhere in public. You can restrict guns in a restaurant or a bar or any private property. But because MARTA is considered public, and it's even in the legislation that they can carry open carry on public transportation.
Yeah, and we have cracked open the door of discussing this with the General Assembly and didn't get very much interest in providing that any restrictions on Second Amendment rights in Georgia on transit. So, but I just did want to, I have been asked that by several people of, well, you know, is there anything that we could do to be checking whether people have weapons on the system? But in the environment that we, you know, legal environment that we have, I think it would be very difficult because then you'd have to be asking, do people, you know, are you you know, is there anything that prohibits you from carrying it otherwise? So thank you, Chief, for that. On the handheld ticket checking, I'll say I rode the Denver system recently, and they do that there. The officer couldn't have been nicer and more friendly, and it was not intrusive to my ride, and I hope, you know, it sounds like we will have the same approach to it, that it's both, I mean, he then helped us, you know, tell me what stop to get off on and where to go and all of that. So it was a very positive experience. And the other thing I just wanted to mention of our other agencies is we're lucky at MARTA to have an actual sworn police force. That is not something that every transit system in the U.S. has. Many of them have just contracted security. So we are extremely fortunate that we have the force that we have, that we, you know, the board and the executive team decides year after year that we are going to put resources behind that because it is expensive, but it makes us safer and more secure. And my last plug back to our jurisdictions and our state is we clearly need more mental health you know, resources in the state, which takes money. And, you know, MARTA can do some of that, but that is not our core mission. And so, you know, we look to our jurisdictions and to our state when tragedies happen and people, you know, call out, well, there was a mental health issue. We need more funding for mental health. So that's just my ask for whoever may be listening on that, who wants to know how they can help. All right, any other questions or comments for the chief or Jonathan? Ms. Powers.
Sure. Jonathan, thank you for your report, and Chief Crayer. You mentioned how we capture fares, and I'm not speaking about pending litigation, but based on both of the assaults that occurred and death on our system, were either one of those assailants, did they tap into the system?
One did.
Okay.
The Midtown incident, he had a reduced fare card. Still trying to track down where he got it. It was not his, but he did tap into the system.
And had the system had any prior interaction with either one of those assailants, either
Yes.
from, okay.
I was going to get into a little bit deeper details, but that individual has been arrested twice by MARTA out of the 22.
Okay. And Jonathan, that maybe this is more for you. Can you provide a little bit more explanation? I know we have talked about it. This pay your fair share, this is not obviously we've just spent a lot of money replacing all of our fare gates and updating those. This pay your fair share is not to supplement that. Can you give some explanation as to why that would be something that we're instituting in addition to the new fare gates?
Certainly. So it really became an outgrowth of the Rapid A BRT bus system. The Rapid A line is an off-board payment system. So you pay, you tap in order to keep that system rapid. It is not unusual. Many bus rapid transit lines and other light rail lines use this type of system. But because you can walk on either in the front or the rear of the vehicle, and the operator is merely going to queue for their designated time, let people on and off, close the doors and drive to the next stop, we will have fare inspection devices to check to make sure people aren't just getting on and riding for free. Because we have that tool that we were bringing to bear, we purchased additional units to allow us to deploy those in other places, because it is a good idea to check and have police touching base at our bus intermodals and on our buses generally regarding fare payment.
So it's not a fare gate supplement, it's just an additional check?
It is an additional, yes.
Okay.
And I'll say, Katie, that's how my experience was in Denver, hopping from the airport. We were running to get on the train. I didn't see where you tapped because there wasn't a turnstile. And then as they went through the train, we were some of the people who hadn't paid, but it didn't feel law enforcement-y at all. It was just, we said, oh, we didn't know where the tap was, and he said, well, pull it up and pay, and we did, so.
You mentioned the final reports that we're waiting to submit to the DOT. Can you give us some explanation as to whether or not those reports were delayed, whether we anticipated that? And, obviously our new trains also have built-in security features for being an open gangway, which is great and will allow more eyes on incidents. But can you give us some more explanation kind of as to what's going on with our reporting?
So on the reporting on the new trains, or for the US DOT letter, or both?
For us to get the CQ400s.
Oh, the 400s, got it.
Running for the system.
So we have submitted a ton of reports and a ton of information, and we have a lot of information gathered. I like to use the analogy, a math analogy. So a teacher could ask me what's 10 plus 3 plus 2. I can say it's 15. Yep, we agree the answer is 15. GDOT's come, they've seen our system, they've done in-person review, they've ridden the rail cars for 4 or 5 days. However, that same teacher's going to tell me, show me your work. I know you know the answer, but show me how you got to that answer. They've seen that the trains work, that the trains are safe, but they need us to show them in written word how the reporting and the safety actually works. I'm oversimplifying greatly, but that's the point that we're at. We've got most of it ready, and we need to close that out. Did we want to get this completed before June 4th? 100%. But what I've said publicly many times, that if every I isn't dotted and every T isn't crossed, we're not going to put them in revenue service. And if that means that we have missed that June 4th date, which we unfortunately did, that's what we're going to do to ensure that the train that comes and that our public rides is the safest as possible, and there is no question about it passing any tests or having any reports submitted to our state safety oversight group, GDOT.
Okay. I think that's all I have.
Mr. Loke.
Thank you. Chief, I got a question for you, and then a
Yes.
question for Jonathan as well. I'll start with the Jonathan question. I think it's just to piggyback off of what Katie said. You made a comment in there about, relative to the CQ400s, of weeks to get to certification. I'm not going to hold you to a date, but I came from state government before this. State government works on the time of state government. And so what's the expectation from MARTA standpoint to get everything to the GDOT math teacher to check your work, turning that over to them to then review the work? Is that 2 weeks? Is that 4 weeks? Is that?
We're hoping to complete that in the next couple of weeks, but we have to get it right.
Yep. Gotta be safe. Got it. Okay. And then Chief, for you, and you're gonna laugh a little bit at this, but being the age that I am, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and everything knows my algorithm, and it's actually kind of creepy how well it knows me, because every post that I've seen on Twitter and Instagram the last 2 weeks has been about MARTA. And I don't ever post on social media. I'm really not on social media at all, but everything is about MARTA. And things in there relative to the new fare gates being broken or pushed or destroyed, pick your phrasing there. Are you guys seeing that the new fare gates, when they are broken, destroyed, or damaged in some way, are people intentionally doing that? Is it because they're not used to the new system? And then second to that, is there consideration to bolster the construction of those somehow so they're not being broken, destroyed, or altered?
I'll answer the first question, and I'll defer to Ms. Allen on the second one. Intentionally. We have great CCTV coverage. So what we do is when we get notified of that, we go back, review the video, we get the film, we put out the BOLO, and once we identify them, we get warrants for them. It's a felony because of the cost involved. So I was talking to Tyson Morris this morning, IT guy, and I think it's important for us to start messaging out through signage and through voice announcements that if you break this, you're going to be charged with a felony. I don't think they understand that. They will eventually. We've probably locked up 10 people in the last week and a half for breaking the fare gate. And they're trying to squeeze through, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Allen on the glass.
Sure. When we first designed this system, some of you actually came downstairs. I know in the atrium we had a set of fare gates downstairs. I actually have video of a officer kicking that gate, right, or that glass, and it not breaking. We tried to break it. During the course of the design, we thought, hey, this glass is actually a little too transparent. So if someone has low vision, there's a chance that they may walk into that piece of glass. It's a half-inch thick piece of glass. So we looked at the design and said, hey, what we can do is put in a design, a film that gives it some sort of differentiation. It shows you, hey, there's something here that's different as you're walking towards it. That design led to 2 quarter-inch pieces of glass with a film between them. That weakened that structure or the stability of that glass. So we have now, after seeing how folks are treating it, and actually before we even saw how they treated it, we did a pilot and we saw that there was a sense of, we sensed that would be easier, and we needed to go back to our original design of the quarter-inch monolithic glass that is harder to penetrate and break. And so we have already changed back to that original design. And in order to care for and accommodate what we were trying to with the low vision, we will likely put something on the outside of that glass. And so, yes, to your question, we've tested it. It works fairly well in our original intent, and we should have stuck with our original design, but we're going back to that 1/2-inch monolithic glass. So it doesn't mean that someone cannot, if they really, really wanted to, try, but we're doing our best with that.
And Member Logue, and for everybody, this isn't MARTA's system. This is our system. It's the region's system. We've invested millions and millions of dollars into this improvement. And you say, well, how many fare gates are now being broken compared to before? The prior system was in such a state of disrepair, as we've all seen. There were gates that were just operating and nobody was tapping. There were gates that were open. So we didn't know what the fare loss was. We couldn't tell you how many people broke them because anybody could merely push them open and get through. These are stronger, these are more difficult to get through, but they will break. And there are wrongdoers out there that will break our system from time to time. But please know that we have excellent CCTV cameras. We are bringing forth additional technological improvements, which we'll detail the board about in executive session, to help us catch those individuals. And we will pursue them. You go over a fare gate, whether you go through it or jump over the top or however you get around, you're going to be captured on camera. And while we may not capture you that day, we are constantly looking for you. It is not worth it. The $250 is not worth it.
Yeah, I was just going to second that of the chief has a remarkable record for finding people that do bad things on the system. So a felony, conviction is not worth it. And, if you're out there and you see somebody doing it, please use the See and Say app, because it's your tax dollars that they're wasting when they're doing this. And we don't want to send people to jail for doing stupid things, but it's your tax dollars that are, that are being wasted with this. All right. Anything else? All right. Ms. Williamson.
Chief, my question's for you also. I believe I heard off-duty officers. Am I to assume that we are tapping into our jurisdictional partners, Clayton, DeKalb, for off-duty officers to assist with FIFA?
They're actually on duty.
Okay, so on-duty officers are going to be working.
Yeah,
in
all those
conjunction-
jurisdictions I mentioned, and there's a few more that I didn't get to, but they've all, for months now, have agreed to assist on match days and the stations that fall in their jurisdiction. So the example is like East Point Police will be at the East Point Station on match day, on duty. Who else? Lots of them. Brookhaven, Chamblee, all of them. Their police departments will be assisting us in those stations, in those parking lots. And that frees us up to be able to move in a little closer to where a lot more people are going to be and a lot more resources are needed because of the sheer volume of people.
And you also talked about MARTA police being on 6 days, 1 day off. Are there any concerns related to them maybe being overworked and not getting the adequate rest? And then how are you supporting the team so that they're not burned out during this time?
I appreciate you asking that because it's tough. Back years ago when the Olympics were here, I worked the same schedule and I remember how hard it was. But what we're doing is we're doing several different things to kind of ease the pressure a little bit. There's Gatorade, there's water, there's cooling towels, there's fans available because of the heat. Many more breaks are being given now as in a regular shift because of that. And then what we're going to do is we move into the operational period starting today. We're going to identify days where it's going to be not much going on. There's no game, there's no fan fest. So those are the days we're going to say, you know what, don't come in today. Take a day off, rest, relax, and get some rest. So we're definitely keeping an eye on them. And if we see something that we say, you know what, I need you to go home and get some more rest. So that's been a marching order of the command staff now for several months.
Member Williams, if I confused, I'm sorry. The off-duty officers were post-World Cup in adding officers during that period. So I may have caused that confusion, and I apologize. And then similarly, the rank and file, the administrative staff, we've canceled all the vacation. So they too, when you see the transit ambassadors out there, when you see some of the workforce here supporting the frontline workforce, they too are not getting any vacation time or anything. But we have, the leadership group has allowed the leaderships of the different departments to allow people to remote work or take a day if they're getting to that point as well, similar to what we're doing with MPD.
Are you finished? Yeah. Ms. Jones.
Thank you for the updates. I have two questions. The first for Chief. At what point, if any, does jurisdiction transfer from MARTA PD to APD for any sort of, for high-level crimes?
Anything that's not on our property. Okay. So if you say you're at the Lindbergh Station and you walk off the sidewalk around the Lindbergh station into the city street or to another sidewalk that's not touching our property, that becomes the city of Atlanta. Same with any other jurisdiction that we operate in.
So MARTA is the agency lead throughout the entire case then?
Which case?
Throughout any.
Any criminal case
Yes.
that happens on our property, yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then Jonathan, for you, which parts of the recent federal requests were already covered in last year's preemptive report? And then which parts are new? And do you have any sense of why that earlier report did not satisfy the current concerns or requests?
Well, I couldn't begin to tell you why one didn't satisfy the other. The first one was more overarching, this is what we're doing. In the second letter, the most recent one, they asked for specific reporting around safety and some other data that wasn't included in the first one. And where there's been other incidents that have been crimes similar to this, the US DOT has sent a letter similar, not exactly the same, but similar in spirit to this. So we expected them to come in and want to take a deeper dive with us.
Ms. Kalisa?
Just real quick question. I think I already know the answer, but when we were talking about the half-inch glass, those can be easily retrofit in the existing system?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Hardage?
I apologize if you've answered these questions. I've tried to keep up, I promise. Let's go back to Fairgates a minute. How many are still open in the system that are not closed and requesting? Look at Jacob, turn this light off. Are still open?
Go, if you got it, I'm going back up.
I think we're roughly around 50% of the entrances. That's not necessarily fair gates. There are about 500 or so fair gates, but there are 94 entrances, right? There's a different number of gates per entrance, but I think we're about around 50% of the entrances that have been completed.
Okay, and on that, I know we have a schedule. I remember you presented it. Where are we on the schedule? Are we where we need to be? Are we behind?
We are not where we would like to be, right? I would have liked to have had everything completed in mid-May. But there were some delays, some related to material like the granite that we put down we didn't have, where we waited a while for that material to be available from the fabricator. Even just the last couple of weeks, there were issues around water intrusion that we had to get cleaned up in some areas before we could continue to move forward and put down. We, just based on how all the work kind of fell, we also needed track allocation, and that's for us, right, to do some electrical work. And so there are a number of factors that caused us to be a little in competing work on our tracks that caused us to be further behind than we would like to be. But the team is working diligently every day. They will be doing a little bit of work. We're looking at what the numbers look like in our system, and so we are allowing them to continue to do some work behind barricades to continue and pushing forward. Right.
So during FIFA, will we have gates open with free fares?
There will be some locations, yes, where there will be gates that will be open, and those are open because we need emergency exits, right? I'll give you for instance, I'm going to think of which one it is. Maybe it's Avondale Station is a good one, right? So there's two entrances at Avondale Station. One has new fare gates, and one we're still waiting to put those in, but we can't just close off every entrance, because if there is some emergency that happens, we need a certain number of entrances to be able to allow
Sure,
people to
sure,
exit.
I understand
And so
that.
that is why those are open. We could barricade all of them off and say, hey, you're only going to use that one entrance, but for safety, we have to maintain emergency egress.
But that doesn't mean it's free fares.
That is not, yes, as
That was
Mr.
my next question. Thank you very
Sorry,
much. Okay.
yeah. Mr. Hunt mentioned, if you tap in, we collect the fare on the tap in. If you tap out,
Okay.
we'll collect the fare on the tap out, so.
So I just want to make sure that we're clear to everybody how we're doing that, because there is some confusion.
Yes.
Okay?
We have actually added new signage. Signage is going up now that reminds folks to tap in and to tap out, and be prepared that if you didn't tap in, to be prepared to tap out at the next location. So.
Okay, perfect. Now, my other question, let's talk about the CNSA app. You know, that's been a bone of contention for me for many years. Is it updated?
Yes.
Yes.
And and it works as it should?
Yes.
It went online this week, and I actually played with it and sent some texts to see, make sure. I know you had an incident with the old one, but the new one is up and running, and it's a lot less cumbersome.
Okay, that's good, because the last time I used it, and it's been more than a couple weeks, it was still the old system.
May I add, I want to give kudos to David Emery and his team. It is not just that the CNC app has been upgraded. The entire MARTA on the Go app
Well,
has been replaced. And as
absolutely.
part of the
Okay.
MARTA on the Go app, and for anyone who has not had an update to that, you know, if you need to manually do that, maybe your phone's not on automatic updates, please go and update the MARTA on the Go app. As part of that, there is a reporting feature inside of that app that is the new CNC app, and it is far less clunky than what you had experienced. Is a better user experience and does get back to MPD, and we both, I know, have used it, so
Perfect.
thank you for that.
Thank you, because that has been something we have needed. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hudson?
Thank you. Mr. Hunt, you mentioned in regards to the FTA audit letter that that's not uncommon for a system to get audited that way. I hope that in our messaging, that I know the timing is bad, this current audit, I hope in our messaging we let the public know that this is not uncommon. And of course, we're going to respond accordingly. My question is this, did they give us a timeline in which to respond, and where are we in regards to that?
Absolutely, Member Hudson. They gave us 15 days to respond. The leadership team set an internal target, which is well short of that, so that we can vet and do any last-minute tweaks. We also got a letter from Leader Innovatarde requesting information. A lot of it's similar to the information requested by Secretary Duffy. Our targets are well within both of those. So Innovatarde's requested timeline is the day before the due date for the US DOT. We will most likely send both at the same time. So as one entity doesn't feel like they got information later than the other entity. But yes, we are well on track. Internally, our lead is interim Chief Legal Counsel Nash, who is drafting that with internal and external support.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Frierson?
Yeah, thank you. I just have a couple of questions. My first has to do with the fact that this transit system that we have is all our responsibility, and we have to take care of us. When I'm on the transit system and I see that we litter on our transit system and we just not good stewards of it, I don't mind picking up trash. But I think it's important that we understand that if we don't take care of the system, it won't take care of itself. And I think it's important that the public understand that as we ride the system, we all got to be responsible of being good stewards. And I remind the riders that I talk to that it's all our responsibility to take care of it. So I do appreciate those who are working in this space that's doing the work. You see a number of different people on the system trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it looking attractive. But we all have to play a part in that. And I want to say thank you to the MARTA staff for what they're doing to make that happen. A couple of questions. One of my questions has to do with the bus fare boxes. How is that coming along? I know that on some of the buses you have 3 boxes, and it seems to be a little confusing. Are we in the process of making some of the transition and replacing those?
Yes, the bus fare boxes will be replaced in August.
Right.
That is the plan. If there is confusion, we can do wraps over or cover over the equipment, bags over the equipment. But right now, everyone should be tapping on just the orange validator, or if they're using cash, they can put cash into the fare boxes they had been previously.
Okay, I think that would be good, because I've talked to some riders, and they've said that would be, that helps them with knowing which boxes they need to be dealing with. All right, if you cover them, that would be great. Chief Crayer, my question to you has to do with, sometimes we have incidents where, there's something that happens outside of MARTA, and the situation moves into MARTA's space, all right? And then we are on the news that this is something that happened at MARTA. How do we deal with those types of incidents?
So, in my experience, MARTA is a landmark.
Yes.
So when they decide that they're going to report on a crime, oh, it's next door to the MARTA station, oh, it's right down from the MARTA station. Perfect example, the other night, a gentleman was stabbed on H.E. Holmes, and seeking help, he went to the MARTA station to one of our officers. So, of course, the report was man-stabbed near the MARTA station at AT Homes, right? Which is factually true. But unfortunately, they use us quite a bit as a landmark, and it associates us with crime that is actually not even happening on the system itself.
Okay, and those types of incidents, they're not a part of our documentation of incidents on our transit system.
No, sir. The jurisdictions that we operate in have their own UCR code. So when crime is reported on their jurisdiction, it's reported to their UCR numbers, and when we have ours, we report ours separately from theirs.
Okay, thank you for clarification. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
Ms. Pollock?
I think I jumped Jacob. Okay. I think a follow-up on Frida's question about the tap-in, thank you, I'm sorry, the tap-in, tap-out. Do we have an estimate, given where we are with fare gates, about what percentage of riders are having to tap it during their journey?
I'm not sure that I can give you a percentage. If you're asking how many entrances, I think we're at about 50% of the entrances and about 80% of the number of gates.
I think you're saying how many of our fare-paying patrons do we collect the fare on their way in versus capturing it on the way out?
No, just because we can capture it in or out right now, but there are a lot of places, or there are some places that don't have any gates. And what approximate percentage, if we have it, of trips should be paid? You know, everyone should be paying, right? But what's the
I know
approximate
we will
number
need
of
to
trips
follow up
where
with you on
have
that.
to
I get the question now.
Yeah.
We'll need to follow up with you and
Okay.
get that information to
Thank
the board.
you.
I do not have that off the top of my head.
All right, Dr. Bolton Harris.
Thank you, and thank you for the transparency in the presentations. One of my questions is regarding the fare gates, in the sense that obviously we have some that are still open. What is the personnel that we have on site to just kind of monitor the area as far as like, are there announcements being made to say, hey, you may, like I got on College Park today. The gate, obviously they're working on it, is open, but I had to tap to get off at Lindbergh. So what kind of communication or just what kind of staff presence is there to make sure that kind of is observing the types of people who are coming on there, ones that could have paid or ones that could not have paid, if that makes sense?
So there would be the MARTA Police Department, however, and we also have station agents at about 17, I believe, generally most days at 17 of the 38 stations, but they're not there to necessarily report necessarily or stop anybody or enforce any type of fare evasion. What they are there to do is to really educate folks, and so they may be able to share that, hey, you know, when you get down to your next station, you may have to tap out. But actually, as I mentioned to Ms. Hardage, we have started with signage, better signage at the stations now, so that folks have an awareness as to when they come in. You may not have tapped here, but you will have to tap out. You may have to tap out somewhere else. And so you'll see more of that signage going up. I think they just started on yesterday. And then we're also working on finished the design I saw yesterday for floor strips and floor decals that actually say the same, right? So where to tap and to remind people that they must tap in and they must tap out.
Okay. And then my last question would be for Chief. As far as, like, obviously we have people, you know, Robert's respect, if they don't, they're put off the system. Is there some type of facial recognition software that if they're entering the system that it may trigger off, or is that some type of like, hey, as far as safety?
I'm going to cut Chief off. He's got some other comments for executive session, and
Okay.
we'll be that I think will address that
Okay.
question for you.
Thanks.
All right, and last but not least, Mr. Zagabi.
I was sitting here reflecting, and I had a bit of a question. It's really loud right now. There's a lot of discussion about a lot of things. And in some ways, we have given people a lot of things to talk about. And let me explain what I mean by that. But like, I guess my question is, did we get overly ambitious with what we wanted to get done for the World Cup? And I'm jotting my notes here. I've heard a number of things. We wanted to overhaul our entire app. Check, we got it done. We wanted to complete system expansion and launch a new BRT system. Check, we got it done. We wanted to replace all the fare gates in the system. Working through it, partially done. We wanted to redesign our entire bus network. Check, we got it done. We wanted to overhaul our rail cars and put, leading rail cars in. that hasn't been accomplished, right? Like 5 things that in any other scenario we'd say are massive improvements on the system, are massive undertakings. And, between a series of decisions and wanting to look our very best for the World Cup, we decided that we wanted to accomplish all of that in the 6 months leading up. And, now there's a lot to talk about where there are things that are massive wins that are complete, like a great new rider app that we should be celebrating. It's not even a moment of chatter because of 8 other things that we maybe tried to get a lot through the pipes in a short period of time. And, we're, instead of it being a win, we're looking at the glass half empty. So I don't know, just any reflection on, did we try to do too much? And does that put us where we're
And
at?
Jacob, you're leaving big things out, like the 5 points, internal rehabilitation and the massive, station rebuild. So I know you just named a top few, but there's some really big capital projects at the same time.
So in a moment of reflection, and if we eliminating every external force and wanting to deliver for the patron, agnostic to everything, we would have staged this out. I completely agree with the thought or sentiment, even though maybe not stated. We were in a situation where, had we staged this out, the financial cost to the authority would have been significant, and the persistent kind of drumbeat of lack of delivery, MARTA can't execute, would have only gotten louder and been more persistent. So we pushed forward. We hit the mark on many, many things. I'm not going to recite them. There'll be time for that later. But the level of execution on the major projects that we've had, we're really proud about. Like you said, it's loud right now. We are heartbroken by the crimes. I know the CQ and the rail car team, while they're working around the clock, are heartbroken by the 4th, as am I and others. But it will come, and I know a year from now, it'll be more of a footnote than the main headline.
I want to ask you one more thing, and then I know this has been a long report, and we do have some executive session matters. The letter that we got about, and the ensuing press stories about MARTA safety and how we compare to other systems. I would love for you again to just apples and apples that for us, because we're different from, we are a large urban system, and we're being compared to, what may be a small county bus network someplace, and we're a system that has a sworn police force. So I know that you have responded to some of these stories, but if you can just clarify again, because we're not more dangerous than large city systems.
So in the letter that's very public, it says MARTA's crime is twice as much, or 3 times, I don't remember the quote exactly from the letter, but they're looking at NTD data from, we believe, from all of the systems. So some 140 to 170 systems. That includes a small county system with only a few bus routes in some portion of Colorado outside an urbanized area. And of that group, there's only 15 systems that have rail. We're starting there. And then a police force. Of the group, on a more apples to apples, we sit somewhere in the middle in terms of statistical numbers, comparing ourselves to our peers that have rail systems. We are going to go into greater detail in our response in showing what we look like based upon the broad data, as well as the specific apples to apples as well, in addition to all the investments we're making.
Well, I just want to thank the whole MARTA team again, and thank you, thank you to the board for your questions today. Our team is just working night and day, and maybe we were overly ambitious, I don't know, but there were a whole lot of things that got started a decade ago also that converged. It wasn't that we set out to do our 10 biggest priorities of this century all in the same 6 months. Some things just happen, and if you told the contractor, we need to push this off 2 years, we're going to delay, you're going to incur huge delay penalties. And so it was very ambitious to try to get all of these things launched, but I still think we had to do it, and we've delivered on the majority of them. We're going to have a fantastic World Cup experience. Everybody sitting in this room today rides the system, and I feel safe on the system. I rode it Sunday night, late from the airport. I put my teenage and 20-year-old daughters on it alone. It's a safe system. So thank you to our police force for keeping it safe, to our ambassadors, for our entire MARTA team, and I hope that as the world visits Atlanta in these next couple of weeks, everybody has a fantastic experience riding our system. Mr. Hunt, anything else before I go
No,
to executive
that
session?
really wraps my report.
Okay. All right. Ms. Nash, do we have matters for executive session?
Yes, we have 2 real estate matters and a security update.
Okay, may I have a motion? I see Hardage and Loke, I think, got it first. Everybody, hands up. You got everybody, Tyreen? All right, we're going to go into executive system, and Ms. Nash, you tell me who stays and who goes. people would grab their seats. Apologies that we're running late today. We had a long work session and executive session. But I'm going to call to order the June 11th, 2026 MARTA Board of Directors meeting. It is 2:16 p.m. Ms. Nash, did we receive any public comments via email or voicemail?
No, none
Okay.
via email or voicemail.
Thank you. Then we're going to move forward with our in-person public comments. I do want to recognize that we have, in addition to members of our workforce, we also have our state rep, Viola Davis, from District 87 with us today. So thank you for joining us. I did not see you had signed up to speak. No, you're just here to observe. Okay, thank you so much. For our public comment, each public speaker is allowed 2 minutes and cannot donate time to other speakers. The total time for public comments will not exceed 45 minutes. If this limit is reached before all comments are heard, the public comment period will be paused and the board meeting will continue. Public comments will then resume at the end of the board meeting. We have 10 people signed up, so we should be able to, if everybody could please keep it to your 2-minute limit, which you will see on the screen. We won't have to make anybody wait until the end of the meeting. So we are going to start with Ken Colvin. So please come to the microphone.
Good morning, and thank you for letting me come up and talk today. My name is Ken Colvin. I work in the IOC in Chamblee. That's the Integrated Operations Center. I'm a rail services controller. And I'd like to briefly share some operational insights from the control center, specifically around service levels, safety, and workforce sustainability. First, regarding service delivery, over time we've increased the number of trains on the line from approximately 14 to 20 with the intention of providing improving service. From an operational standpoint, what I observed is the opposite effect. Running maximum service leaves us with no flexibility. When trains fail, as they inevitably do, we don't have reserve equipment to replace them, which leads to cascading delays. At the same time, maintenance teams are under pressure to meet higher deployment numbers, which can contribute to reliability issues in service. Because we are already operating with staffing shortages, increasing service levels often pulls critical personnel, operators, especially supervisors, away from where they are most needed during these disruptions. Second, safety. From my position, coordinating directly with train operators and field personnel, I can tell you that safety concerns remain very real. While reported numbers may suggest improvement, the day-to-day operational environment reflects ongoing challenges, particularly related to disorder on the trains and platforms. We are frequently dealing with repeat offenders, individuals re-entering the system immediately after they're being removed, and a growing presence of non-paying riders using the system as shelter. This not only impacts service reliability, but it also affects the perception and reality of safety for our customers. A stronger, more consistent enforcement posture combined with clear accountability would go a long way in restoring confidence in the system. Finally, workforce sustainability. Right now, staffing levels in several critical areas are strained. Controllers, operators, and supervisors are working in high-pressure conditions with limited relief. Fatigue becomes a real concern, and that directly ties into both safety and performance. In addition, compensation has not kept pace with the increasing demands of the role. In my case, despite increased responsibility and workload, compensation growth has been minimal. This creates long-term challenges in retention and morale, especially when compared to similar roles in other transit systems. If we want a high-performing system, we have to invest in the people who operate it through appropriate staffing levels, fair compensation, and sustainable working conditions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Colvin. We appreciate it.
All right.
Next, we have our ATU Local 732 President, Mr. David Ward.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm tired, but I got a lot to say. I definitely want to give respect to my members. Representative Davis, it was good talking for the last 10 minutes. Thank you for listening. But I do want to give respect to our community that's in the room. Thank you, because we definitely, the reason we're here and we have jobs to do is because of our communities, right? I want to start off with saying thank you, Jonathan, Rhonda, C-Team, for meeting with us today. We had a great discussion leading up to this point, talking about safety, talking about working conditions, and talking about just how do we build a relationship. It seems like we have other outside entities that's against us, but when we form a coalition together, we can survive. However, we got a lot of work to do. We have a workforce that's grossly underpaid. I know that we're in contract negotiations, but there are so many things that I want to say in regards to the inadequacy and the disparity in wage that we receive as comparison to the country. We're the 9th largest transit authority in the United States of America, but our operators and maintenance workers are paid in the 115th percentile. Unacceptable. Our workers are skilled. We have CDLs, we have ASCs, we have certifications in regards to track maintenance, but we are the 115th percentile in regards to pay. It has to change. We see that there's a disparity. Over 55% of our workers here in the bargaining unit are women, a very disparaged group, but they deserve better. They can do the job as well. Minorities, we make up 94% of this company, a disparaged group when it comes to wages. It has to change. I had a lot to say. I want to talk about the autonomous transit. We see that as a critical issue to the bargaining unit. As autonomous transit comes in, it does adversely impact jobs and job security. When we came to MARTA, we was promised that as long as we came to work, we did our job safely, and we did it right, that we can retire with dignity. Keep that promise.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Next, we have Stephen Rainey.
Hey, good afternoon. So I'm a community member. Only reason I'm here is I was driving in to use the station and I saw our transit workers out there on the picket line. And if I know one thing, it's that you never cross the picket line. So I had to show up. And I was born in Atlanta. I live in Druid Hills. I take the MARTA from Lindbergh to GSU every day. These workers carry me safely through the city every day of my life. And to hear that they're working in unsafe conditions and paid unfair wages is outrageous and unjust. In the city of Dr. King, a hero of the labor movement, in a city that wants to show itself to the whole world in the World Cup, it is a shame and a disgrace that the workers who make this city run aren't being given the respect and the dignity that they deserve. That they're being replaced by Waymo and autonomous transit, like he was talking about, that they're being paid unfair wages that don't match up with what they would be paid in other cities or other countries, that women workers are dealing with sexual assault while they're just trying to get people safely from place to place. You know, it's unjust, and it is criminal that the city can spend, for example, $90 million on a police training facility in South Atlanta, but isn't investing in the workers who are the lifeblood of the city. It's just not right. These workers are human beings. You got to act like this city depends on them, because it does. In the community, people like me, other people who came out here to talk, are with them every step of the way. As long as they don't quit, we won't quit. And if you're not in here talking about better pay, about safer working conditions, about treating workers with respect and dignity and respecting the power of the union, then you're not talking about anything serious. So I guess I got 20 seconds left. Power to the union, power to the people.
Thank you, Mr. Rainey. Our next speaker is Eric Strickland.
It's tough to follow. My name is Eric. I do not own a car. I typically ride MARTA several times a week. First, I want to say that I like the new app, so good job on that. I like the live bus arrival times. And I also want to say that as far as the delay with the new trains, I'm actually not worried about that. I'm glad y'all are taking your time and doing it right, because these trains are for the residents of Atlanta who are here for the long term, who live and work and ride MARTA every day, not just for the tourists who are here just for a month. And I'll also say that Atlanta has one of the best stadiums and fan festivals of all the 16 host cities for transit access. And so I think we should be proud of that. I do want to highlight a few things. I've seen several pictures that have been sent to me of broken gates already. And I mean, I was here a couple months ago and I said, you know, the new gates are not going to mean anything if we don't actually enforce them and monitor them. And so this is evidence that people are vandalizing the new gates. So I think we need to have officers at the stations, attendants who are there, you know, at the gates consistently, even at night. You know, a lot of times I show up to West End at 10, 11 o'clock at night. There's nobody to be found. No MARTA attendant, no police officer. And I would love to see an officer on every train, not just because somebody just got shot or stabbed, and not just because the World Cup is here, but because it's a Tuesday or because it's a Saturday, just because it's another day. So I'd love to see that consistently. And I would love to see fares being enforced everywhere. Still, you know, I have bus drivers just waving me on, which is great because I don't have to pay, but I want to pay. I want to fund this system that supports our city. And I would also just love to see better weekend service. I would love to see the same service that we have during the week also on the weekends. There's so many events that happen in the city, and there's also terrible traffic on the weekends, and we have to have better weekend service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Our next speaker is Glenn Hall.
Hello, my name is Glenn Hall. I've been a MARTA transit worker for 20 years. I worked 9 years for transit in Philadelphia as well, for SEPTA, for those who know who SEPTA is. I'm really concerned about the environment that's created here. The environment of unfairness to the operators and to the public. We have paying customers every day that rely on us, while there are people that know they can ride free every single day, and they take full advantage of that because there's nothing to stop them. There's absolutely nothing to stop them. We are being treated unfairly. The patrons in our city are being treated unfairly. We have to be able to do something about this. This is unfair. It's just an environment, and the environment it just looks bad. It looks bad to everyone. And our people that get on this bus every day or get on the train every day, they see this happening. They see that why should I pay if no one else is paying? If the same folks every day can ride free. It's the same people, the same group, the same everything every single day. And people are getting fed up with it. It's just that simple. Of course, we are vastly underpaid. I think you understand that. Something has to be done about that. So I would like for us to get together on this and let's hash this out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Our next speaker is Vanessa Owens.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to my colleagues. I'm 100% union, especially when you're in the dirty South, wherein you can just be fired because of how you look. And even being at MARTA, I've had that happen to me in the past. But what I really want to say is I want to talk about my old kidney. I want to talk about that the restrooms being closed has not helped me in the areas of my blood pressure, my kidney, or my heart. I have now taken medications for all of those areas. I cannot even understand why common sense didn't come into play to close the restrooms of a major hub makes no sense to me, period. I also want to talk about that I didn't realize until now, actually, because I was taking care of folk in the family because I'm the caretaker, that my benefits dropped, my life insurance dropped from $40,000 to $15,000. I did prepay. Why? Because my husband died in front of me, and our 2 children. So I need to do prepay to make sure they don't have the burden of whenever God called my name to do that. And $15,000 in my preparation for that time doesn't cover anything. So I also, I got a few minutes. There's so much that they said that I totally agree with. But the pay is ridiculous. The safety is ridiculous. The 62-year-old woman that was stabbed and killed, that made me cry. And to see folk take out a damn phone instead of helping her made me cry. In a city that Dr. King came out of. I don't want us to hide the homeless. I want you all to partner with shelters that are greedy and just take money and kick them out all at the same time. We should have learned something when we had the storm and our babies were all put out of school at the same time and everybody was stuck. We need to partner. They're human beings. Nobody want to solve themselves. Nobody want to stink. Nobody. We need to do better. We can do better, and we should do better.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Next, we have James Atkins.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Atkins. I'm the Vice President of Maintenance for MARTA and the non-MARTA properties. I've been coming more frequently we have in the past. Want to give you guys my report. And that's not coming every month, but letting these people come and show and voice their opinions. You guys have been very attentive. I see the look, I see the seriousness that you're taking, but I'm asking and I'm pleading for you guys for you all to understand where we're coming from and why we're reaching out to you, because you're the topper, you're the pinnacle. Like David said, the president said, we met with Jonathan yesterday to prepare how we talk in this meeting today. And my biggest thing was that there's a disconnect, guys. There's a major disconnect in the high level C-team board and the workers. There's a disconnect, y'all, that we're transmitting down below for a project or something to be done, and it's not reaching the bottom. We have complaints and issues that we have from the bottom that's not reaching the top. You know why? Because we are actually going out to these areas and we're meeting every level of management. I've talked to every level from your CEO to this board all the way down to the first line supervisor. There's a disconnect. And I sat and I talked to Jonathan about it, and we asked the questions and we're trying to get the answers, but we need you guys to enforce what we're trying to say, because we're not at the table. This is the only reason why we're having to come here, is to be heard, so you can let people know that there's a problem that we need fixing. We've been coming to you guys about the safety issues. We've been talking about assaults and all that on the employees and the work and the patrons. But then now that it's reached outside of our realm, outside of our house, you could have us to ask your backing, but now, you don't know if we're going to come in here to put flames on the fire. That's not my intention. But we got to take care of our people, though, and that's not happening either. And that's why I said sitting down with you yesterday gave me a lot of insight on how we're broken and where we're broken. Our issue is that a lot of people at the top don't have a whole lot of knowledge on operations. So you're relying on a lot of other people. We'll have some opposition to those people. When you sit down with your team, have our team there to say, hey, this is not what we're seeing. You know, we had a discussion yesterday about an issue. I think it was how many trains are on the light rail. I said that I heard it was one. Somebody said it was two. It was one train. And so I don't want you to get bad information. You know, verify that with us. Make sure that what you're getting is truthful, because at the end of the day, you're going to be held accountable for it. And I don't want you to get bad information. Your success depends on all of us, and we have an obligation to this public. So again, I thank you guys, like I said, for your attentiveness, and I ask for you guys to always reach out to us. If you got any questions, the union is there for you too.
Thank you so much, Mr. Atkins. Our next speaker is Erica Dawkins.
How y'all doing this evening? My concern is the bus routes. I live over there across the street from Piedmont Park, and Piedmont Avenue is very dangerous. You guys have us walking a mile to get to a bus stop and a mile to get back home. So when the first time I walked to the bus stop, I'm looking at car parts. People have a wreck on that street every week, so I'm hiding up under the tree every time I have to go to the bus stop. But it's messing with my anxiety, and I have 2 defibrillators in my heart. I shouldn't have to walk a mile to get to a bus stop. Yes, it's bad, and it's hot out there. So don't let me become the next one in MARTA's investigation, but I'm just asking, please, can you put the number 27 back out there? Because all of us showed up at that meeting on January the 22nd. It was 45 people, so we're wondering why we're still being ignored.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Dawkins. We won't respond here, but we will get somebody to talk to you, and I promise you for all of these comments people are making, Mr. Hunt is making extensive notes, and the C team will.
Yeah, because your MARTA Reach program, it don't reach nowhere on Piedmont and Monroe.
I live in the same neighborhood as you do, so
it's just like
I have made Mr. Hunt aware of this exact same
we done
issue.
dropped off the face of the earth on Piedmont.
Yeah.
Okay, please get the bus back. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker today is Ivan Coulter.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully, after the meeting's over, I wanted to speak with Mr. Fearson and Mr. Hunt to follow up on some issues I had addressed last month. So, real quick, there's an issue with the drivers understanding the difference between the reduced fare and the regular fare. We had a driver that...
Can you pull your microphone just
sorry.
a little bit closer? Thank you.
We had an issue with a driver basically kicked me off the bus because he didn't understand that I have a reduced fare card. I only pay $1 and said that I had to pay $2.50. You know, I pay $1. I don't pay $2.50. I think the drivers need to understand that there's a difference between that. I showed them my reduced fare card. They need to know what the new reduced fare cards look like so they know, and they need to know that it's only $1. It's not $2.50. And we need some fares when it comes to weekly and monthly and daily, because it's easier for us to just pay one price that takes care of a week or a month at the reduced fare price. Because a lot of us, like myself, I'm on fixed income, and it's better for me to budget my funds out for my ride for the entire month instead of it being I'm just constantly paying $1 over and over again. Sometimes I'm paying $2 because of issues like that. Even at the new fare gates, when you tap to reload the card, it says I have to put $2 in. I only pay $1. Reduced fare is $1. It's not $2. So that's an issue where we need to fix that problem with when it comes to reduced fare. Because
Can I ask you a quick question? Which is it a one bus route you're having the most problem on?
So I normally take the 23.
Okay.
And there was a couple of incidents with the drivers there where hopefully I had reported that downstairs to one of the staff members downstairs. They took the email and stuff like that. But I sent emails to the board, Mr. Fearson. These drivers, I don't know what's going on. I understand that they're working really, really hard. They're underpaid. I understand that maybe there needs to be some kind of AI set up on the bus so that when we get on, so the drivers can focus on just driving and the routes, and then the fare stuff can just be handled by another system altogether, because if they're too focused on trying to enforce the fare because they don't know the difference between $2.50 and $1, it's like, I don't understand what the confusion is. It's simple. It's been that
All
way
right.
for several years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Coulter. We will, again, we're taking notes. We will follow up and get back to you, but you said you might wait till the end of the meeting to
Yeah,
speak
I'll
also.
wait till the
Okay.
end of the meeting and
Okay.
we can discuss this one-on-one.
Thank you
Thanks.
so
Appreciate
much.
it.
All right, that concludes the public comment portion of our meeting. Before we get to our committee reports, we need to approve our minutes from our May 14th, 2026 meeting. May I have a motion and a second? And if there's no discussion or changes, everybody please vote. All right, the minutes have been approved. We are going to proceed to our board committee reports, starting with the business management report with Ms. Gleason.
Great, thank you very much. Madam Chair, the Business Management Committee convened on Thursday, May 28th, 2026, and approved the following resolutions. A, resolution authorizing the modification of contractual authorization for professional services for investment management, LOAL 50288. Item B, resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for MARTA ridership awareness and media campaign, RFPP P60282. Item number C, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for storage expansion and upgrade, IFB B50817. Item D, resolution authorizing the modification and contractual authorization for the renewal of the ArcGIS system maintenance, RFPP P45386. And item E, resolution authorizing a non-exclusive revocable license agreement with Crown Castle in the amount of $428,098 for continued operating of a cell tower located at 500 Plasters Bridge Road Northeast, Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia, MARTA parcel D3113. I request approval of these resolutions.
All right, let's vote on these 5 resolutions.
I'm sorry, it says against for me, and I'm not against.
Okay, we'll change Ms. Hartage to a yes. Okay, those 5 items have passed.
Thank you. And then the committee also received the following briefing for the fiscal year 2026 third quarter financial highlights and financial performance indicators. Madam Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Next, let's move to the Planning and Capitals Management Program with Ms. Williamson.
Madam Chair, the Planning and Capital Programs Committee met on Thursday, May 28, 2026, and approved the following resolutions. A, resolution authorizing the award for infrastructure, architectural, and engineering consultant services, AE 50575. B, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for direct fixation rail fastener replacement, IFB B50629-A. C, resolution authorizing the ratification of a memorandum of understanding for the planning study for a top-end 285 BRT design project. D, resolution authorizing a modification in contractual authorization for I-285 top-end BRT planning study, RFP P50012. I request approval of these resolutions.
All right, let's vote on these 4 resolutions. Okay, I think Shayna stepped away. All right, those 4 items have passed.
Madam Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much. We're going to move now to Operations and Safety with Mr. Loke.
Madam Chair, the Operations and Safety Committee convened on Thursday, May 28, 2026, and approved the following resolutions. A, resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for emergency on-call repairs and maintenance services for MARTA's light rail overhead contact system and traction power substations, IFB B45064. And item B, resolution authorizing modification and contractual authorization for preventative maintenance and repair services for bus fire suppression and CNG tank inspection, IFB B50078. I request approval of these resolutions.
All right, let's vote on these two items. Both of those items have passed.
And the committee also received the following briefing: quarterly bus and mobility key performance indicators. Madam Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Next, we have external relations with Ms. Jones.
Madam Chair, the External Relations Committee convened on Thursday, May 28th, 2026, and received the following briefings. A, Community Engagement Update and 2026 Legislative Wrap-Up. B, Next Gen Reach, Media Impressions, Government Affairs, Community Engagement, and Legislative Update. Madam Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Those items don't need a vote, so we will move on to Audit Committee with Ms. Powers.
Madam Chair, the Audit Committee met on Thursday, May 21st, 2026, and received the following briefings. A, MARTA FY26 External Audit Engagement. B, Cybersecurity Readiness for World Cup 2026. And C, Internal Audit Activity. Madam Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much. None of those need a vote, so that is going to bring us to, that concludes our committee reports. We had, Ms. Nash, how many items coming out of executive session that need a vote? 2?
Madam Chair, yes.
Okay.
2 resolutions. The first resolution is a resolution authorizing the submittal of a purchase offer and execution of a settlement documents for 50 Upper Alabama Street, Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County 30303 for the MARTA Police Department 5 Points Precinct relocation. Whereas pursuant to the MARTA Act of 1965, as amended, MARTA exists for purposes of planning, designing, leasing as a lessee, purchasing, acquiring, holding, owning, constructing, improving, equipping, financing, maintaining, and administering a rapid transit system within the metropolitan area and operating same. And whereas the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority's operations staff has identified a public need to acquire property within the city of Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, and the city is within the territorial jurisdiction of MARTA. Whereas the MARTA Police Department is in need of a new precinct located in the close proximity to MARTA's 5 Point station, and whereas MARTA staff has identified certain real property located at 50 Upper Alabama Street, City of Atlanta, Fulton County, State of Georgia, to be acquired and used as a MARTA Police Department precinct. Resolved, therefore, the Board of Directors of Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority hereby authorizes the interim general manager, CEO, or his authorized delegate, as provided by the bylaws of the authority, to offer, negotiate, execute a purchase and sale agreement, execute all closing documents for the acquisition of the property, pay a 5% broker fee necessary to secure the real property and improvements, and pay $5 million for the property located at 50 Upper Alabama Street, City of Atlanta, Fulton County, State of Georgia.
All right, do we have a motion and a second to, okay, Mr. Loke, Ms. Galisa, to bring this before us? It's before us. Is there any discussion or any questions for Ms. Nash or Mr. Hunt? If not, let's all vote, please. We need to do a vote, hand vote. Got everybody? All right, that matter passes. Ms. Nash, your next resolution?
Next resolution is a resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase and sale agreement with the City of Atlanta for the construction and operation of a fire and EMS station at the MARTA Lindbergh Station, MARTA parcel D3049. Whereas the City of Atlanta desires to construct a fire and emergency management services station adjacent to MARTA's Lindbergh campus, and whereas the board has determined that MARTA can dispose of the MARTA property, and whereas Section 8R of the MARTA Act of 1965, as amended, permits MARTA to dispose of property to municipalities and government agencies without seeking competitive bids, provided that the authority receives consideration at least equal in value to the disposed interest as established by the independent appraisal, and whereas a sale of land is desired for the construction of a new fire and EMS station facility on the western half of Morosco Park, adjacent to MARTA's Lindbergh campus, and resolved therefore by the Board of Directors of the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority that the interim general manager, CEO, or his delegate is hereby authorized to do all acts, perform all things, and execute on behalf of the authority all instruments of conveyance, other instruments and agreements as necessary to effectuate the execution of purchase and sale agreements with the City of Atlanta for the development of parcel D3049 as a fire and EMS station facility.
All right, I saw Mr. Loke, he's so quick, and Ms. Hardage, everybody in favor, please, was there any discussion? All right, everybody in favor, please raise your hand. Ms. Huff, you got everybody? All right, that item has been approved. Was that it for executive session?
Thank you, yes, that
Okay.
is it.
Thank you. Anything from anybody else on the board? I'm just going to give, often we have a search committee meeting after this meeting. We are not having one today. It's going to be in 2 weeks, but since it's been a minute since I've talked about that, I just did want to give an update to the rest of the board and to the public about where the search for the permanent MARTA GM is. We've been meeting monthly for the last several months. We have had over close to 300 applicants for the job. We have a fantastic search agency, DSG Global, that has been working on it for us. They have been looking for candidates that demonstrate, excellent leadership for building teams, for directing senior staff, for working with a large and diverse workforce, and a unionized workforce that has good crisis management, good communication skills, works with various stakeholders, has experience with large capital projects, understands business and fiscal oversight, has experience in mass transit and related fields, and has a strong sense of personal accountability and a high level of integrity. And it has been really great, the number of people that we had, practically 300 people who were interested in this job. And I'm not going to make any big announcement today. I'm just giving an update. So anybody who's looking at me like, where is this going? So we are in the process of narrowing it down to a short list, and hopefully we will be interviewing candidates and making a selection by the end of the summer. But I did just want to give the update that there has been tremendous interest in the job. We have had very, very well qualified candidates who both come from the transit world, who come from other transportation, sort of adjacent industries, who come from the business world, and who have gone through a very rigorous vetting. And hopefully in a month or so, we will have a short list narrowed down who we will do the final interviews with. But I know we've all been, talking about FIFA and these major projects, the Big Six rolling out, and other safety and other important things. But I did just want to give an update that the search has been going on quietly behind the scenes, and we hope to have a permanent general manager in place after that. And if you are here with the press, that's all I am able to say about it. So, I'm happy to, if you want to chat with me, that's fine, but that, I'm not going to talk about any particulars of who the candidates are, because they're all people that have big, important jobs that they don't want disclosed, that they are interested in this position. But we have had a really, really great level of interest in the position, and a great team working on it. So, anything from anybody else on the board? Anything from Mr. Hunt? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. Again, if you came and you made a comment, please do know that Mr. Hunt and Miss Allen and the rest of the team are listening and are taking notes. And we as the board, particularly to our workforce who is here, we do listen to you. We do go back to the C-suite team and say, hey, what are they talking about the safety issue down at Laredo? We appreciate you coming. I want to, as I did at the work session, just thank the entire MARTA team and family for the tremendous amount of work that you all are putting in to get these major projects launched, to be delivering to the world who is visiting us for FIFA, to be keeping the system safe and secure. And I know that all of you all are putting in 110% right now, and also a whole lot of overtime. So we appreciate everything that you do to make MARTA a clean, safe, reliable, and amazing transit experience for all of us. So thank you, and have a good afternoon.